All right, welcome to the ISRL Season 4 preseason race here in Russia, Sochi. We're here at the Sochi Autodrome. Of course, it is the preseason, so the points today aren't going to count too much at all, in fact. But I'm glad to be back. I got Carter in the booth as well with me today for this Russian Grand Prix.
Always glad to be here, and boy, let me tell you, from the end of season 3 or any season to the start, there's always this building anticipation of the start of the next season. Although this is preseason, it's just good to see everybody back out on track. A lot of new faces, excited to see where they might stand in ISRL Division 3. It's a great place to start too. Little technical track here, not a lot strategy to do, so just get this track out of the way, see where everyone stands, and of course no points. So good way to kind of see what we've got going on here in Division 3 for Season 4.
Yeah, speaking of new faces, we were just looking, well, we still are looking at one of them, but Yeter, I think that's how you say it, and in the McLaren, setting the fastest lap time so far, the Maverick as well setting lap time in a 1:33. Now, I think the Maverick is a little bit off the pace there. We should see those lap times a little bit closer to that McLaren. Yeah, you mentioned building anticipation ahead of Season 4. Of course, like we mentioned, these points aren't going to count, but it's a good opportunity to get out on track, to start to know your competitors and see who might be an early favorite for a championship bid. Of course, we're not seeing the likes of Mivako on this grid this year, who, of course, won the championship last year. He's in Division 2 this time around, so we're going to see him race actually very, very shortly after this race. It's going to be a little bit of a shakeup. We have Chris and Bumblebee coming down from Tier 2, who might be able to pose a credible threat there at the top. And then, of course, the likes of Asunik, Azen, F1 Richie, who was the runner-up last year. Even some guys like Sprunky or Krago might have an outside chance at this one. So it's going to be an interesting championship, I think. A lot of unknowns coming into the season, as well as some expectations to be met for some drivers. All in all, yeah, that all starts next week, really, as we head to Austria. And this is just a big practice round. And practice they shall, as we have 5 laps on board so far. A 1:31.115 is the fastest lap time right now. And are we going to be seeing, of course, this is short qualifying, so we're not going to be seeing Q2, Q3, but do you think these lap times are going to be falling considerably between now and in the next 10 minutes?
I mean, you have to think so with all the new rubber being laid down. And I think for your point, looking at Extreme Pascal right now, he set a purple first sector, and I think he's maybe played the strategy a little bit well, maybe not going out right away, coming down now to the end of Sector 2. Tricky little section here, and this chicane coming up here can really catch you out. It can... the rear end of the car, you get on the power too early, it can definitely step out from you. But let's just keep a look at Pascal right here to see where he'll stand after a purple first sector. But yeah, and as you said, it's just practice, you know. So maybe look for a little more mistakes than usual as he goes 5th. But in the end, it's a good thing. You know your competitors are, you know how they race, and it's just a good way to prepare for Austria.
Yeah, and let's see, yeah. Taking a look now at just our tire data that I just popped up in. Yeah, Sprunky does go fastest, so that's the 1:30 there that we were talking about very briefly earlier. I think those times are going to be coming down. Should hopefully all be competitive to Sprunky. I think these 1:33s that we're seeing are either some heavier fuel runs, maybe like Monkey Mafia. He's on the medium tire, which is obviously not the optimal strategy here on this track, at least for qualifying. You can start on the soft tires here. The tires don't degrade all that much, so I don't think we're going to be seeing too many medium runs. I think that might have just been kind of like an installation lap. Yeah, carrying on here, 9 minutes 48 to go. Joseph Cozy on the screen right now, currently trying to bring that AlphaTauri around the Sociodrome, set his first lap time of the session. I think we saw him on track earlier. He was one of the first early guys to head out there, but no set time so far as he's coming around here in Sector 2 onto the back straight. And we're going to get to see his split time there. I'm just going to show up his lap telemetry, and just to get an idea of where he is at 105.5. So still on track for some good times. It's right behind him. It's Monkeys, who, if he was on a timed lap, would be very much enjoying this, as he got a nice tow all the way down the straight there behind the AlphaTauri.
He got one from his teammate too. You saw the first Red Bull kind of get out of the way of the AlphaTauri to give Monkeys that slipstream. So maybe it was actually Hartman to get the slipstream as Monkeys on an outlet. Let's see where Cozy goes, though. Jumps to 6th briefly, but then immediately falls to 7th as Hartman jumps to 4th.
So Hartman, a very good lap time from Hartman. I wasn't expecting that. I thought, I guess he was the one getting the toes there from Monkeys, who
set off to start his lap.
And now Monkeys got a tow down the main straight there from his teammate as well. So some good teamwork going on from the Red Bulls. Probably some unintentional help there from the sister team as they carry on qualifying. Cozy ends up slotting right next to his teammate Asunik, 4/10 separating the two AlphaTauris.
Now, one of the championship favorites, at least in my opinion, F1 Richie, is starting his first actual lap. I think he had an invalidation in the last one. But yeah, again, one of the championship favorites, top 3, I believe, last season in Division 3. After a couple of guys moving up, definitely going to be one to watch for throughout the season, but especially right now as he's setting his lap.
Oh, and he invalidates that one, yeah. Of course, F1 Richie, runner-up last season, and kept Ferrari in the hunt right up until the finale in Brazil, and it was it ended up being a puncture on the final lap of the race that sealed the fate of that Ferrari Constructors Championship. So I think F1 Richie is going to have something to prove this season. He is, in my opinion, my early favorite for the championship here. Of course, there's a lot of unknowns in this tier with a lot of new drivers coming in. There might be some shuffling around yet if there's some guy that is clearly in another speed division. But so far, F1 Richie is gonna be my early go-to candidate. It's the preseason. I'm gonna make my call now. I think F1 Richie is gonna be finishing top 3 in the championship this season.
Well, Sprunky might have something to say about it too. I love it. We're already making our championship predictions, and we're only about 12 minutes into season 4. So
you gotta make the bold calls now, or else you don't get to brag about it later.
I know. There you go. But again, Sprunky, 2 of the new guys, the Sprunky and Potkiet, already showing that there's potential there for a good championship fight. And don't count out Crago. And Hartman with a great, I'd like to say surprising lap, because I was very surprised to see him P4. So already a good championship battle. Look at Sprunky get very loose coming out of the final quarter to start his first lap. Actually, just warming up the tires. Maybe he finished one, actually. But great championship fight. Looks like we've got in store for us.
So Asunik, we saw it on stream, did improve his lap, but not enough to move himself up a position. Monkey Mafia as well improving his lap, and he gets himself up into P8. So of course he did that first lap on the medium tires. Chill Mo now, is he on I do believe he is on a flyer. And in the Mercedes car, he did move a new team there for Chill Mo in the off season. He used to be, and this is in case you weren't following the driver movements. So Chill Mo to Mercedes with Aizen. So both of those guys moving to a new team. Of course, Aizen in the McLaren last season, Mo in the AlphaTauri. Cozy moving to AlphaTauri to fill up that vacant spot left by Chill Mo, and of course that let Fallen Monkeys move to Red Bull. So kind of a three-way trade there between Chill Mo, Cozy, and Monkeys, as all of them kind of moving to replace each other, and Aizen moving as well to replace Joe Maz, who dropped out at the end of Season 3. So lots of changes, lots of guys in new teams getting with teammates that they feel they're going to work a little bit better with. And it's going to be interesting to see if maybe, we have our favorites for the constructors and or for the drivers, but could there be a dark horse team for the constructors where two guys are really performing, maybe not up to first place in the standings in the driver championship, but third or fourth, and they end up stealing the constructors?
Yeah,
I mean, we'll have to see.
I was just about to say, yeah, maybe not for the win in the constructors, but you just mentioned AlphaTauri. These two guys who really, they do know each other quite well, Stunek and Cozy, and that's, I think, a key. A lot of these guys, their teammates, they may not know them as well as they'd like. They may not be in a party chat to be able to communicate with them. So I think having that chemistry already built between Stunek and Cozy might play, a big hand in them finishing higher in the constructors than people might think.
Yeah, I mean, and of course they've been racing together for quite some time. I believe the last 3 or 4 years that maybe not as teammates, but that they've been on track with each other, so they're very familiar with each other's driving style. They're familiar with what the other can and can't do around the circuit. So that's another thing that is gonna come and help them when you really know your teammate and you know where you might have to step up and help the team out, and where you can safely kind of lean back and rely on them.
And now Chris, a bit of a surprising position he's in right now. I don't think it's indicative of the true pace he's got around here, but we're
it's definitely not, as he goes P6. Yeah.
There we go.
So
he's
Chris,
into existence.
he was on the mediums. He finally sets that lap on the softs, moves himself up into P6. And that's a good lap for Chris as he puts himself up in a very solid position ahead of this Grand Prix. Sprunky is out on track for another go in the Haas. He doesn't need to improve all that much. He's got provisional pole, but it doesn't hurt to cover off the likes of Potgieter. I think I'm saying that right. If there's any Dutch people in the chat, please correct me, because I know other commentators have had issues with his name before. Craigo goes second fastest. And Craigo gets himself up into the front row.
I think Sprunky, I think he realizes that F1 Richie still doesn't have a set lap time. So I think that may be in the back of his head. Yeah, a 138 is that's good. I mean, it's first, but championship favorite still hasn't set a lap, so I might want to go out there just in case. But I haven't seen any purples pop up from Richie, so
chasing him down there is Sprunky, as F1 Richie's on the back straight. Sprunky just entering the back straight, so if the track conditions aren't going to matter too much between these two. They're essentially on the same bit of racetrack at the same time. And big moment there from Richie as he exits that tricky, slightly off-camber corners. Yeah, just like you were talking about earlier in qualifying. And is it going to cost him any time? I think it will, as he's coming around the final corner. 130 already, and 131.9. Not the lap time F1 Richie was hoping for, but I would say that's not entirely out of character for F1 Richie. Qualifying around P5, that did seem to be his typical qualifying position last season. Sprunky doesn't improve his time. I don't know if he's going again right now. Let's pull his telemetry up. That's gonna no, the DRS slot is closed, I believe. So yeah, he's not going for another one. He's out of fuel. So that's gonna be the end of qualifying for Sprunky.
Almost like watching myself here with Chilmo, the number 24 black Mercedes out here. I actually just invalidated his lap. Nearly hit the wall there. That would have been disastrous for Chilmo. Under a minute now. Sprunky's looking good. Just about a tenth and a half from Craigo. Potgieter out for an out lap. Hartman again. I'd have to say the most impressive qualifying today so far. A great P4, beat out F1 Richie. And yeah, now with just 25 seconds, let's see how the rest of the qualifying ends up.
There's a big gap ahead of Stunek. He's got a lot of clean air, and he is starting his final flyer in the AlphaTauri and trying to improve out of that 10th place qualifying position. I think he can. He's at a 132.149 right now, and there's definitely some pace in that car as he's up on his sector 1 time. He was up on his sector 3 time on his out lap last time around. So we're going to see what he can do.
F1 Richie just improved to 4th place, and to your point, just gaining about just 2 tenths would put him up with CJ Butch in the 6th place. Maybe actually behind Chris, but
It's very
small
close.
margins will get him up there.
From 6th to just about 14th right now is separated by within a second, 3/10 if you count to 13th.
Oh, man.
And
CJ Butch goes wide on the last corner, invalidates his lap. Sorry about that.
no, all good. Astunic, no, in Sector 3, coming through that final chicane, kept it clean there. Let's see what he can do coming around the penultimate corner. He's got about 5 seconds in hand to get pole. He's got about 6 seconds in hand if he wants to improve his lap time significantly. And he just misses out with 27 hundredths of a second there. I think Bumblebee is coming around the final the line. Yeah, and he goes P6. So a great lap there from Bumblebee. Nick Potgieter, I'm hoping I say that right, goes fastest. Oh, by 2/1000ths of a second. And he steals pole position from Sprunky. My goodness, that was so close. Monkey Mafia is going to come back into the pits. He's abandoned that lap. And I believe everybody on track is done qualifying. And yeah, that's going to be your starting order for the preseason race here in Russia. The McLaren of Nick Potgieter getting pole position, Sprunky P2, and Krago P3, F1 Rishi. So both Ferraris on that second row. So great qualifying to start the season with in the Ferraris. We'll start the preseason.
Well, it's still a great statement already. We were talking about maybe that dark horse constructor, and maybe in this case not a dark horse, but you knew F1 Richie was going to be good. But Krago putting it up there and out qualifying him in the preseason race, so a locked out second row for Ferrari, and I think maybe a little bit of a disappointment is going to be AlphaTauri. Neither of them cracking the top 10. Fallen Monkeys taking 10th away from Astunic by just 20 hundredths, and Cozy down in 13th. But yeah, Bumblebee with a good surprise in 6th place. Potgetter snags pole by the thinnest of margins, and Knight. This is only the preseason. This race doesn't even count, and we've already got this margin. I can't wait.
Yeah, very competitive qualifying so far. The top 13 separated by just over 1.3 seconds, at least. I think that's what I saw there.
Yes.
Heading into the start of this race, McLaren in pole position. They're back on form. Sprunky in the Haas. P2, like we mentioned, Krago and F1 Richie closing out that second row of the grid. And look at the gap. 1, 2, and 3. 1/10 of a second separating the top 3. A big gap there to Richie. 8/10 after that in 4th. And then Hartman, P5, Bumblebee P6, CJ Bush P7, Chris Azen, and Monkeys round out your top 10. You did mention the AlphaTauri failing to qualify in the top 10. Not their typical form here, but maybe there is some strategy to it. I know, some unintentional strategy. You don't try to qualify outside the top 10, but it does, especially for Astunic in P11, give him basically the best position in the Grand Prix. He's on fresh tires. All 10 guys ahead of him are on worn tires. And, it's best position strategy-wise, because he gets to choose whatever. He can either go on the same tires as the guys ahead and have 2 to 3 laps less time worn on them, or he can go on a harder compound and go deeper in the race. So he has kind of that white carte blanche, to do whatever he wants on the strategy. And I think that might come and help him out here in the long term, even though he will have to deal with traffic at first.
Yeah, and with Russia, this track, it's a pretty straightforward strategy where tire wear, it's not really there. You seem like you feel like you could go on softs for longer than you think. So maybe towards the end of the race, if you wanted to start on mediums, get that extra bit of grip for when it really counts. So I mean, it's all up in the air. Just have to wait and see. Safety cars can throw it all up in the air. Throw some safety cars in the mix can mess up that strategy, but
absolutely,
that's why we love the sport. It's all up in the air.
Yeah, and the drivers are going to be heading out on the formation lap shortly here. We're just giving them that pre-lobby relaxation time, and it's nice to see nobody readying up there. Oh, and as I say that,
what did
Sprunky,
you do? You did.
Sprunky readies up, but they did get a solid amount of time there to choose their strategy. We're gonna head out on the formation lap, and tire strategies ahead of the weekend. So we did the Formula Fridays race, of course, here on. Well, I bet you won't believe what day it was, Friday, and yeah, and the soft and the mediums did not degrade all that much. They felt very good late in the run, and of course, that's a 25% versus a 50% race. There's going to be some differences, but I very much think we're going to be able to see the soft tires play a big role there. It's not going to be a tire that these guys jump out of 4 or 5 laps into the race. We might see some two-stop strategies on the softs, or even just a one-stop soft medium, depending on how long these guys can make the tires last.
Yep. So that's the tire strategy part out of the way now. The last 2 races here that ISRL has done, no matter the tier, really, there's been a huge accident before we even get to the first braking zone. You know, that front straightaway, kind of like a drag race, if you will. There's 16 cars out there. Everyone's jockeying for position. Who is going to be able to make it out of not even turn? I guess it is turn 1. Who's going to be able to make it out? Who's going to be able to make it to the first braking zone? I should say. You know, it's caught me out season 1. Caught a lot of people out in other seasons. So
of course, the first real test. Season 1 had quite a famous incident amongst the drivers in the circuit. We're not going to get into it, but yeah, it definitely did not go unnoticed. We had another big crash here yesterday, or 2 days ago, sorry, in Formula Fridays, and so yeah, the turn 1, it seems weird. It's not a braking zone on this track. It's a very much a flat out kink, and yet it might be one of the most dangerous turn 1s in the calendar, because the track ever so slightly narrows, and oftentimes, because there is somewhat of a run up to it, you got guys 4 or 5 wide into air, and it quickly narrows down to about 3-4 cars width. So some and at the start of the race, it's a straight line. You don't usually back out of that, and that's why it tends to lead to accidents here at the start.
Well, we're just going to have to wait and see now, as the anticipation, and I think the nerves for some of these guys might be building. They're not in control of their cars. I think that might make it a little bit more stressful as they now line up to the grid. Nerves are running. Knight, are you ready for Season 4? Because it's about to kick off here in the preseason race at Russia, and I'll let you take it away.
Yeah, this is the unofficial start of the season as we get the preseason started, and it's 3, 4, 5 lights in Russia, and they're off, and it looks like everybody got going well. Not too much wheel spin, but Sprunky is going to have to slot in behind the McLaren of Nick Potgieter, and the 2 Ferraris with a good start. They're going to slide into that DRS. Everybody getting through the kink cleanly. They're 4 wide in the back, and a big move there from Hartman as he falls down the order. Sprunky sending it on the McLaren very early on, and he takes the lead there in turn 1. I don't know if that was a little bit dirty. There was some contact, but he slots in ahead. No damage on either car. The 2 Ferraris of F1 Richie and Craigo swap positions there off the start. In the back, oh, there's a Renault. There's a Renault sideways. That's Monkey Mafia. And there's another car involved, and it's Fallen Monkeys. And what has happened there? Has there been damage? Who else got Cozy?
Up the inside of the right-hander after the long sweeping left-hander, and just clipped the back rear end. The Monkey Mafia turning them both around.
And Cozy got involved in that, not the start he wanted after a frustrating Formula Fridays event for him. And it looks like there's no safety car, no virtual safety car. The guys are free to race as everybody got moving quickly. And we see the cars now start to slot in, and down the straight they're going to try to tuck in, get that slipstream, and maybe make a move into the brakes. Now we're going to see anything. Oh, it's Bumblebee thinks about it and has to back out. It's going to make him lose a position to Azen, as Azen sneaks down the inside there and into that very tricky chicane you're talking about. Heavy fuel is going to be a little bit harder even for some of these guys, as the tires maybe not properly warmed up, but Azen able to slot in front of Bumblebee after that mistake at the end of the back straight. Now he's under pressure from CJ Butch, who's had a strong start as well, up into P7. Oh, and what's happened here? Is there a glitch in the...
Glitch.
Okay.
Scoreboard glitch, but the two Ferraris getting away well. They both lost two positions. Oh, no, actually, they're both held positions on lap 1, but everybody making it clean through the first braking zone. But, you know, it only took a matter of time before we had a little bit of contact. But still, the top 13 cars still in contention. Sprunky taking the lead from Nick Potgier.
Ooh, there's a move here. Chilmo on a Stunik, and Chilmo spins around. And that did look like a late move. It did look a little bit ballsy, to say the least. And Chilmo gets the short end of that stick. With the angle we had, it's very hard to say who was at fault. But regardless, a little bit of contact, a wheel-to-wheel contact at least it looked like. And Stunik, between Chilmo and Stunik, and Chilmo gets spun around now. Stunik under fire here from Hartman, and already penalties starting to come up. Both racing points getting some penalties. Stunik now, he's going to be under pressure. Hartman going down the inside to make a move. Goes relatively unchallenged, but in the braking zone, is he going to look back? He's not. He lets Hartman go ahead. Gets some wheel spin, and is he going to cost him another position? No, it's not. He's actually going to have another go at Hartman, and they touch wheels, and Stunik gets sent off track. What is happening here? As Extreme Pascal gets past both of them.
Oh, is that wing damage for Hartman? It looked like Hartman got a good run on Pascal. Maybe clipped the back of him. He looks okay, though.
There's just some confusion between the two drivers, I think, and there was contact. Hartman tried to let Stunik by him again, as I think he might have felt he was at fault for that, and all it's done is it's let Extreme Pascal pass both of them.
Now Hartman's going to get that good slipstream. No DRS. Actually, DRS is now activated. Down the inside he goes into turn 2.
It's a lovely move from Hartman. And Extreme Pascal is going to fight back, though. He's got the inside line. They're side by side here through turn 3, and they're very close wheel to wheel. Heavy braking here, and Hartman's going to stay ahead.
The camera angle on board with Hartman, you could see the Renault just get ever so closer. How they didn't touch, I don't know, but Hartman, with a daring move around the outside of that long left-hander into the braking zone, is able to get that move done. He's up into 9th.
And some good action, some clean action so far from a lot of these drivers. Let's tune back in just ahead of these guys. This battle is Aizen is fending off Bumblebee, CJ Bush, and Chris. There you go. As that Racing Point has a look, Bumblebee not shying away from making moves in his new tier. Driver coming down from tier 2.
Bumblebee, he saved it somehow. The back end stepped out too early on the gas. Somehow saved it. Now here comes CJ Butch, right up on the rear diffuser. He's going to look to the inside. Not an over taking place, but he's going to look for it.
Going to try, and they're keeping it clean there through turn 17, through turn 18. Here we go. It's going to be Bumblebee ahead, but who's going to get DRS down the straight? It's going to be the Williams of CJ Butch, of course. But Bumblebee, I think... Yeah, I think Bumblebee's going to get enough on Aizen, but that's not going to matter as CJ Bush gets ahead of him and into turn 1. Very nicely done there from the rookie, or sorry, turn 2 rather. And through turn 3, I think he's going to be able to hold on to that, as now the two Racing Points have been slotted into each other, and Chris is going to be looking to make a move on his new teammate. And these two guys, they both came down from tier 2, or Division 2 as it's now called. They both wanted to be teammates for each other. Are they going to be playing nice here, or it's the preseason? They're going to go, you know what? I want to prove I'm the #1 guy on this team, and are they going to be fighting?
I think maybe for the preseason, you do love the aggressiveness, but I think for now, it's all about, seeing your teammate. You don't want to do anything maybe out of your ordinary. Just try and see, what's your teammate like? How aggressive is he? But speaking of aggressiveness, F1 Richie has slowly been catching up to Nick Potgier, who, to be fair, after sitting on pole, is really, kind of set back and let Sprunky kind of coast away now. There he goes! There goes Nick Potgier. Oh, he saved it! Wait, and there's contact between F1 Richie as he gets the position from Nick Potgier. And after a little bit of contact, it looks like they're both okay for now. Yellow flag in Sector 3.
Not sure what that was for. I think that might have been... Oh, there is actually... I think that might have been Monkeys having a moment there in turn 16. And yeah,
Craigo
Craigo having a move. He's trying to get a toe from his teammate. You can see the two Ferraris working together. There's wheel-to-wheel contact into turn 2 and getting sent a little bit wide is Craigo. But Nick Potgieter, oh, I can't say that name, are going side by side through turn 3. Craigo doing a good job defending. He's going to have the outside line, the less favorable line, into turn 4. And he's going to have another go here if he wants a chance. He is side by side into the braking zone. They're giving each other plenty of room. The respect between these guys is admirable. But what this is doing, Aizen now is going to have a go. And Aizen around the outside of Craigo. Is he going to make it stick into the next braking zone? He is. He's going to slot in ahead. Very well done by Aizen. And the McLaren now is starting to get a little bit further away as he starts catching back up to Richie.
Yeah, and here comes CJ out of nowhere. And as you said, what this has done, F1 Richie and Potgear fighting together has let that whole pack that we were watching moments ago climb back up.
Oh, and there's contact there. Aizen making a little bit of contact with the McLaren. It's going to send him into the wall as he misses his braking zone. That front wing there from Nick Potgieter is gone. Absolutely gone. Aizen gets a big moment there, but he manages to save it. And I think these tires now starting to maybe struggle a little bit for some of these cars. The soft tires we're seeing, I thought they're going to last at least 10 laps. We're starting to see a lot of struggling, at least from some of these cars. And now your top 3 is Sprunky, is able to just dust off in the distance as these guys are fighting behind him. F1 Richie and Craigo, P2 and P3. Aizen would have had a penalty coming, I think, in the regular season for that incident with the McLaren, but it's the preseason. It's not going to matter too much, but he is in P4. CJ Butch in P5 in his first race here in ISRL, and a great race for the Williams.
But a huge hit. I don't know the camera angle that you had, but a huge contact collision with the wall for Potgieter.
I saw the aftermath of it. We saw Aizen hit him, and then we kind of lost track of that McLaren until we saw that front wing fly off on the wall. So. And
you were right. He may have been contact, but he missed his braking zone and just went head on into that wall after the hard braking zone. And luckily, it's a video game, but even from here, it looked like a huge contact. But now, pole sitter down into 13th place.
Extreme Pascal coming under fire there from the sister teams of AlphaTauri, Stunik and Red Bull Hartmann, as he's going to have a bit of defending to do. We're just going to tune in on this one very, very quickly, as I know there's another battle ahead, and yeah, that's Stunik getting by rather easily. Is Hartmann going to have a go in the braking zone? No, he gets some good defense. Oh no! And Aizen has spun out, yeah, and that's that tricky corner you were talking about. There's some wing damage there, and he's able to rejoin ahead of Stunik now, but he's going to have to pit. Surely he's going to have to pit.
That's now 2 drivers that we've seen get on the gas too early and just cook those rear tires, sending the car around. Aizen just not able to save it and get away with it.
The 2 racing points going at it again, as there's some good defending from Bumblebee. Chris not able to get past his teammate, and you gotta wonder how frustrated he's getting in that cockpit, as he's been a couple of laps now that I think he's clearly faster than Bumblebee, but not able to get that move done.
And I think at this point, going back to what I said earlier, if you're Bumblebee, don't let him by. Make it challenging. It's the preseason race. See what your teammates got. Of course, I think that is going to change it completely for the start of the actual season. But for the preseason, give him a good challenge. That's
Chris gets past Bumblebee. That one did look a little bit intentional. I think finally they're swapping positions, and
no. He lost the rear end and nearly went into the wall. So
well, I'm saying after that, I think he just let his teammate go by. But he's going to come back at him. So and another kind of big moment there. And yeah, the racing points at that point, you got to let your teammate go. You're costing yourself so much time.
I think at this point, my point's become invalid. I think you got to let your teammate die.
They're fighting way too much.
Yeah, they are. It's slowing them both down.
There's a Hartmann, I think, is around. There's a Red Bull, facing the wrong way. Is there damage on there? I don't think so. probably just getting on the throttle. And what a good qualifying performance from Hartman, seemingly thrown away there. And CJ Butch having to go on Crago, and
there was contact.
Yeah, I couldn't see. I had an onboard shot there with CJ Butch. Couldn't see the contact made, but it did look very close between the two cars. And CJ Butch moving himself up into the podium positions.
Yeah, it was almost maybe an incident where the arrow was white, and he thought he was clear of him, and he moved back on over into the racing line, and in reality he was still there. So it looked like a racing incident, but again, it's preseason, so.
Yeah, it's not going to get investigated either way. Let's take a look now. We haven't looked really official. I've been keeping an eye on them all session long. But our YouTube comments, there is quite a few people in the chat right now. So, well, first of all, of course, thank you to everybody who's watching right now, and welcome to the preseason. Welcome to season 4, really. And we got 16 races ahead of us, 17 if you count this one. And lots of racing to do. So let's move back to the last still relevant one. Rotation saying a bit of a dirty move from Sprunky in turn 1, lap 1. And we did point that out on the stream that there was some contact there. Some people seeming to agree with them. And Mushroom saying penalty will not be important, not to get many to win. Or penalty will be important, sorry. So, yeah, we've already seen a lot of the grid. Seen a lot of the grid already with penalties.
The guy's keeping it clean though, top 3.
Cohen says pronunciation on point. Of course, talking about my amazing Podgitter pronunciation for the spell. Don't know if I'm saying right. Josh says he can still finish 3rd. Of course, talking about the McLaren driver. And I don't know if I agree at this point. He can go to the end. Same with Azen. But he did lose a lot of time in that pit stop.
Really did. Luckily for him, again, it's a video game, so he's able to no real damage other than tire wear and downforce, or else he would have been out of the race. But yeah, Hot Getter, bull sitter for the race. Now he's out of the top 10 after the incident, so he's hoping for some sort of a safety car to get everything.
Yeah, and Mushroom actually echoing some of those feelings. He well, at first he goes Racing Point hurting themselves, which we did point out, and surely enough, Chris is now completely out of touch with this leading pack because probably he was just using too much tires, too much energy trying to fight his teammate, and it's let his teammate catch up to Crago here for P4, and they're actually having a little start of a little scrap here. And just like you mentioned, Mushroom saying, yeah, I put money on a safety car at some point. And big moment there from Bumblebee as I was reading that one, and narrowly avoiding disaster. F1 Richie has pit in the first one of our leaders to pit here before... Yeah, first one of the leaders to pit, before... well, not anybody else. There's some people on the hards already, but they of course pit because of damage. And Chris, yeah, takes initiative there between the two racing points. Says, well, if you're not going to let me buy on track, I'll undercut you. And I do wish him luck because he lost a lot of time there to his teammate. He's got about 2.9 seconds to make up if he wants to get past Bumblebee there on the undercut.
Yeah, and let's keep a close eye on CJ Butch because he was just about 7/10, maybe a little less behind F1 Richie. He was closing on him before he made that pit stop, and I think that's what prompted F1 Richie to go.
Fallen Monkey's going deep there. Turn 1 has to let F1 Richie by as he rejoins the track.
And that's the last thing that F1 Richie wanted, was to be stuck behind someone, frankly, who he knows he's faster than. No disrespect, but...
I think both of these drivers in this circumstance know who the faster one is. Yeah, I don't think Fallen Monkeys has any reservations about F1 Richie being quicker than him.
And now, again, when will CJ Butch, feel the need to pit? He doesn't want to go out maybe too much longer, but the overcut can be, it can work around this track, at least for me. And he will come in this lap as long as Sprunky and
Bumblebee as well. So Bumblebee, he's kind of stuck there. Bumblebee is he either has to pit now and be on the same strategy as Crago, who's trying to pass, or stay out another lap and then risk not getting the overcut on his teammate. As where is Chris? He's coming around here, the penultimate corner, as his teammate is moving in the pit already. So it's all going to be about the exit here and coming around. Yeah, I think he's gonna. I think Bumblebee is going to be behind Chris there. They're both coming out of the pit side by side, the racing points. And, yeah, Bumblebee just going to have to slot in. And once again, I think we're going to see some fighting between the two pink cars. And Vito saying Chris and Bumblebee are like Vettel and Leclerc here in 2019. Really? And yeah, good comparison there from Vito. Is yeah, and at the undercut working for Chris, but now the roles are reversed. It's going to be Chris who's going to be defending against Bumblebee, and it's going to be interesting. We saw Bumblebee very good on the defense against his teammate. Is Chris going to be able to give him the same treatment?
Just have to wait and see. And as I was talking about before, CJ Butch lost about 9/10 of a second in that round of pit stops to F1 Richie. I think Richie made a great call to come in when he did, because the gap between him and Butch was closing rapidly. Now about 1.5 after the round of pit stops. So Sprunky is the de facto leader. He has stopped. Estunik has yet to stop. Or he may have earlier in the race. I'm not quite sure.
No, Estunik is on his starting tire. He started P11.
He's on the mediums.
Yeah,
yes, that's
so
right.
He's 10-lap old mediums. Behind him, Sprunky, the leader, has pit. So unless there's a safety car right now, Sprunky is the de facto leader. And then Maverick and Extreme Pascal have not pit, but Extreme Pascal did just dive in the pits. So only 2 cars still on their starting tire. Both are the only ones who really started on the mediums. And did not have to pit due to damage or an incident or something like that. They're running 1 in 3, so they're hoping probably for a safety car, but with this pack starting to really spread a little bit thin, we're not seeing as many battles. If there is an off, it's going to have to be a very big off for it to trigger one of those.
Yeah, and for Estunik at this point, you know, he's not doing the strategy wrong. He's doing everything right in terms of this strategy, but you know, the risk with it is the luck not turning out, you know, in your favor. But again, we're less than halfway through, and can you believe that with all this action that's been already going on? But yeah, so it's Estunik from Sprunky, Maverick, Richie, and CJ Butch, and Richie has started to extend that gap on CJ Butch.
Chill Mill getting past Extreme Pascal in the back there. Saw that on the scoreboard, but we missed the overtake on track. And yeah, I don't think there's going to be any fight back there from Pascal.
Estunik, we've seen so many cars do almost like a Tokyo drift out of the first chicane there. Somehow saved it.
It's just let Sprunky catch right back up to him though, and Sprunky is going to, I think, make good use of that DRS. And I don't expect to see Sprunky behind Estunik at this time next lap.
As he sets the fastest
lap as well. Of course, the tire difference, we're talking about 11 laps between these two. And we can't, I don't think anybody expects the Estunik here to put up a huge fight. But going to be interesting to see if Sprunky can get past him in one of these corners there, if he's going to be stuck waiting for the back straight. Because any second here stuck behind Estunik, as Estunik goes a little bit wide there. I don't know if that's a defensive move or he's letting Sprunky go through. But Sprunky does take the lead there, as Estunik has a bit of a moment in the braking zone, ends up going wide there.
Yeah, and if you're a Estunik, that's the best thing you could have done there. Lose as little time as possible, letting him by. You know, because he has a race. He's racing people, maybe not directly on track right now, as he goes a little bit wide, picks up a penalty, but he's still racing guys around him. So losing as little time as possible was what he was supposed to do there, and he did a good job of it.
Monkeys and Extreme Pascal now going at it, and Extreme Pascal is just losing positions here, as even the Monkeys in the Red Bull is having a go, and he's had an okay recovery there from an early half spin that we saw on lap 1. Of course, right here, it was with Monkey Mafia as well, and Cozy. And out of those guys, I don't know if Cozy has had another moment, but has not recovered as well, because he's 25 seconds in 16th. Well, not just 25 seconds behind the leader, but 25 seconds clear of 15th place. So not the race Cozy wanted to have around here, but thankfully for him, it is the preseason. So you can wipe that off and start with a clean slate next week. But of course, it is important to start on the right foot, isn't it?
Of course, CJ Butch getting past the yet to pit Maverick 33. No real trouble there, and I swear you've seen those two racing points within a second of each other this entire race so far. Is this a sign of what's to come here in Division 3 Season 4?
Well, I do hope.
Good battling.
We need a good teammate battle, don't we? I mean, the Ferraris, as close as the Ferraris are together, they're too nice to fight with each other. F1 Richie is always going to go on the side of the team, I think, over his personal gain. Not to say the racing points wouldn't, but I think it's proven last season that he's always kind of sided with what would be smarter for the team to do. And it's allowed both him and Crago to finish pretty well off in the standings. And for Ferrari to put a title challenge right up until the last race. And in the last race, Crago was involved in an incident, which is why he couldn't get any points. And F1 Richie, as we mentioned, had a puncture on the last lap, which dropped him. Of course, in the finale of Season 3, it dropped him and took Ferrari out of the Constructors' Championship race. And so... really, he does what's necessary for the team, and so I don't think we're going to see the Ferraris fighting too much. The AlphaTauris have been racing together for a very long time, so although we might see some battles here and there, I think they're generally going to be giving each other some respect. But the racing points, if this is any indication, is that they're not only are they not afraid to race each other, but they're not afraid to race each other hard. And it's been some great racing between these two.
And as long as it's fair, then I think they should have full reign to do what they like. And, the risk of it, you kind of saw it at Baku with the two Red Bulls a couple years ago. That's worst case scenario,
And
just put your guard down for a second, things can happen.
Yeah, of course, you don't have a pit wall, you don't have a race engineer, you don't have a boss telling you, hey, let your teammate through. So a lot of these arrangements between teammates are done between them because they're in the same party, they're in the same place, or sometimes they just communicate verbally on track with moving over on the straight to say, hey, go get by me and stuff like that. Of course, I've had teammates before that I think we helped each other more than any other teammate I've ever had, but we never even talked to each other, not once, because we both kind of just knew what the team had to do in the moment. And it's with these two racing points, is they could have easily been probably a third, fourth if they just said, all right, Chris, you go, you get 5 laps, try to get these guys. If you get past them, slow them down into me, and I'll get past them as well, because our pace is very similar. If you can, I can. And instead, they're fighting over 5th place instead of fighting for a podium.
Again, better to do it now in the preseason race than when it counts, and maybe they'll take our advice. Maybe they'll adhere to it. Maybe they'll, next time we'll see a lot more working together. And not to say that not working together is bad, as we see Bumblebee get past the Maverick now, but better results will follow, I think. Without
a doubt. And I mean, if it is a preseason, so I think there might be some liberties being taken that would not get taken normally by some of these drivers. Not in terms of breaking the rules or anything, but just in terms of racing a little bit harder than they might race normally. So yeah, interesting to see. Of course, the season starts next week in Austria. The second time we've started a season in Austria, and it's a great track to kick things off of. So, not a whole lot of action on track. Fallen Monkeys.
Bit of a dead period.
Yeah, still chasing Extreme Pascal, and of course we're past that pit window for most of these guys, and unless these medium tires don't make it to the end, I don't think we're going to see any other pit stops. Well, the hard tires will make it for sure.
With Astunik, he's yet to pit. He's got now 10 more laps left, and to be fair, he's still in second. You see the gap between F1. It's been coming down this whole time, but maybe not at the rate that you might think. So he's doing a good job of
Astunik pitting now would take him to 10th place.
Yeah, and
Or no, sorry. It would take him to 9th because Maverick is in there as well. So he'd still be ahead of Maverick. So
and you may think that that's a lot of places to gain up, but he'll have the most grip and the freshest rubber on the track. So
and he'll have soft tires. Most importantly, yeah.
Commonly known as the most grippier tire.
Yeah, well, not if they're 10 laps old.
Very true.
Looking off the position change from the start, there's yet again the 2 Racing Points who are glued like magnets. Stunek up 9 positions. Of course, he has not pit. The biggest gainer in terms of guys who are where they're most likely to finish. CJ Butch, who's going to gain 4 positions here once. Sorry about that. Once Stunek pits. Craigo losing 4. So not what he wanted. I'm not sure where that pit strategy went wrong for Craigo. I think he just did not have the pace on the medium tires because he was ahead of Richie for much of the first stint, and he's kind of dropped off there. I think he got stuck behind the Racing Points even.
I think Stunek's tires might be starting. Yep, he felt it. I saw it, and we both thought the same thing. A little bit of a tank slapper. Rear tire starting to. Oh, and he speeds in the pits. That's gonna hamper his end of the race as well. If he already had a penalty now, he might be able to get rid of this 3 seconds. But we'll have to wait and see where he comes out.
Changing the tires onto the softs.
They'll have to stick with those 8 seconds. Now,
he is going to be coming out ahead of Aizen, I think. Aizen's coming around the final corner right now as Stunek resumes back to racing speed. He's going to be very close on the exit, but I think Stunek is going to be coming out ahead. And
it's a great result because we were thinking maybe 9th, 10th. He's ahead of Maverick by nearly 9 seconds. So a great outcome, I think, for that strategy for Stunek.
Yeah, and Stunek, it does say 20 seconds in penalties, so
oof.
Not sure where he picked up the rest of them. It does mean he has at least 5 seconds. So
interesting how he didn't get rid of any of them in the pit lane, though. Usually, if you've got at least a 3 second.
That's what I'm curious about. So, because, he got a 5 second coming in, that would take him to 15, and unless he got 5 3-second penalties, but that seems excessive.
That's not going to happen. Yeah, no.
But,
nevertheless.
Yeah, nevertheless, he is going to be falling behind Aizen and Maverick, I believe, just on penalties.
Well, we still got 8 more laps.
Of course. But as it stands. And so what he doesn't want is a safety car.
That
would be less than ideal.
1-1 before, now would just be a death sentence.
Well, it would essentially just take him to the back of the field. Cozy wants a safety car, I'll tell you that much. Monkey Mafia as well. Hartman is a lap down, so he doesn't.
You got to feel for Hartman, though. Putting it in P5, in qualifying, luckily, again, preseason, not going to count. But hopefully that's a little bit of a confidence booster for Hartman to know that he could put it up there in the top 5.
Hartman does, he's always had a strong qualifying pace. It seems to be in the race that it might drop off. He's not able to keep that car going as quick as for as much of the race. Because he really did drop off rather steeply, and he was, I don't think, involved. As far as I remember, he wasn't involved in any instances. Extreme Pascal has a kind of a look on Chill Mo, but Chill Mo some good defending there. Keeps him at bay.
CJ Butch is slowly starting to catch to F1. Richie, we saw this kind of play out in the first stint, too, to where the start of the race, there was a bit of a gap, and towards the end of the stint, you saw CJ Butch start to close the gap, maybe a bit of better tire management. From the Williams driver. But yeah, F1 Richie, he's going to have a battle on his hands. No penalties for any of these guys, though, so it's just straight merit. Hartman goes and sets the fastest lap, taking it away from a student.
He's got to gain a position. Just one if he wants the fastest lap point in the regular season. Of course, we are using, if you are new to ISRL, if you're not familiar with the way you do things here, well, first of all, welcome, and second of all, we do use a custom point system. So first to 15th get points, 40 for P1, 33, 28, 25, and 15th gets 1 point. And so a fastest lap when you're 15th, you still get the bonus point. You double up to 2 points, which is the same as 14. Everything.
A little bit
Sorry.
of
Oh, I'm not sure.
Kind of sounds like a robot.
Yeah, if anybody is hearing that on the stream, do let me know.
Hopefully it's just me.
I'm
good now, though.
All right, cool. Well, yeah, of course, yeah, custom point system. It did keep the championships last season very close and very exciting, right up until the last race for all of the constructor championships. And yeah, what more can you ask than that?
The new point system.
Yeah.
You know, bet closer finishes in the standings. Now CJ Butch, man, he's gaining tenths every single lap on Richie. Sprunky, I mean, my goodness. 14 say he's had complete control this race pretty much from lap 1, even though he didn't start on pole. But now CJ Butch, he's going to get DRS down the front straightaway. Are we going to see a move into turn 2, maybe even before that?
I think we are going to see one here. I think it's going to be interesting to see. And let's pull up the telemetry here. Ooh, F1 actually gets a little bit out of shape there. And
Tori's going to have to get out of the way here soon. Around the outside, here goes CJ Butch with a great move. He's got to keep it on the track, and he does not.
F1 Richie is fighting back, though. And yeah, down the inside, F1 Richie, and that's what I was going to say. I think F1 Richie's got more battery. He's very good at saving his energy. And though CJ Butch gets ahead, F1 Richie immediately takes that position back. And now, is he going to maybe try to slot in behind Butch down the next straight? Try to get some DRS? I don't think so. It does seem like he's really trying to hold him at bay. And Butch is going to get DRS again as they're coming up to the detection point. And coming up to Cozy as well, I believe.
Yeah, the dirty air is what's catching CJ Butch out here in the second sector, losing about 5 tenths after he got past F1 Richie. But now he's going to get DRS. No move probably going to be made here. It's just not enough space, really. Not enough time, so... Yellow flag, is that a Haas? That is a Haas. Is that Sprunky? It is! The leader has been turned around.
And without pointing any fingers...
He's going into the pits.
Now, I know ghosting is on, but Hartman was trying... No, Hartman was trying to unlap himself. And of course, ghosted cars make it very hard to drive. And that is against the rules, of course. But we had seen him close to the leader for the last couple of laps, and now Sprunky having to pit, and I don't know if it might have been in relation to that, but now it's promoted F1 Richie and CJ Butch into a battle for the lead here.
For the win of the race, for the lead of the race right now, but perhaps for the win, huge turn of events here. The leader by a mile, getting into an incident there into the pit lane. Has just completely opened the door. Second sector is where CJ Butch will lose some time. And as you can see it there in the gap, just about 6 tenths of a second. And again, the 2 racing points, we were talking about it before. You said they could have had a P3, P4.
Yeah, they could have had a P1, P2 at this point because they were fighting with CJ Butch. They were fighting with F1 Richie earlier.
That's right.
And you're
right.
It's hindsight is always 20/20, but even if it's a preseason, how cool would it have been to get a 1-2 in your first race in the tier or the division? Sorry, that we call them this year.
It's also a learning experience to do, you know. So
of course
they may learn from this. Excuse me, and do better in the actual.
And as you mentioned, of course, as you mentioned before, it is a preseason. I think there's going to be some liberties being taken where they might just fight with each other because it doesn't matter, right? It's a bit more of a fun practice race. So in a real Grand Prix, do they give each other that much of a hard time? No. Hopefully a little bit more of a hard time though that F1 Richie just gave CJ Butch as he gets easily passed down the straight. And once again, F1 Richie going to be trying to tuck in behind there, turn 3, and is he going to go down the inside? Oh, he's very close, but look at that, some great racing from these two. Battle for the lead. There's 4 full laps left. We got 5 total still to complete. And F1 Richie has just lost the lead of this race to CJ Butch. But CJ Butch with more energy spent, but I think F1 Richie has a little bit less fuel. So these guys are both going to be managing their fuel, their energy, their tires from now until the end, while they're trying to battle for this lead. And I don't want to say I told you so. I did say F1 Richie was my candidate here, and I know Sprunky had that incident and he was leading the race. But who was very close to pick up the scraps, and who did that all season long last season? It was F1 Richie, and he's back at it, his old business here in the preseason, and just in the perfect position to pick up where other people make mistakes and get a good haul of points. And not that Butch is doing here, because he started 7th, and he's now in the lead, so an amazing race for CJ Butch as well. Racing from everybody so far in this Russian Grand Prix, and I think here CJ Butch is going to be turning the engine up to Rich and starting to take away here from F1 Richie. I thought F1 Richie was going to be able to put up a little bit more of a fight than this, but it does look like CJ Butch still has a little bit left in the tank.
Someone else who may be turning up the engine now is Bumblebee. I mean, the gap, just as they were fighting for those 2 laps, came from about 3 seconds to a second and a half. Now that they're not fighting, that may just, stay where they are now. And to your point, CJ Butch is now pulling ahead of F1 Richie. But first of all, a name change a little while ago. Some people may not know. It's oh my goodness, it's Alex Cha.
Alex Cha 24.
Changed his name to Bumblebee. So that, I mean, a great performance in P3 right now for Bumblebee. Definitely one of his best. Again, penalties, we're going to have to see how they change the outcome. But I think regardless at this point, he should be proud. On track, as Butch loses it, he gets loose. And that's going to allow F1 Richie to close the gap to 0.3. That chicane has caught out so many people.
They're too eager.
It's allowed Richie to get DRS.
Too eager to get back on the throttle. And F1 Richie has been saving up a lot of ERS here this lap, and he's got about 30% to 6th now for CJ Butch. And is he going to be close enough? Not close enough this time. He's not fully into that slipstream. I think he's trying to avoid being too close in the braking zone. And no, he gets a penalty here, and I think unless CJ Butch can get one as well, I think that just sealed the deal there. He kept his nose clean the whole race, and now just extending a little bit too much, but he's still very close. And honestly, a win on track is it feels good. Yeah,
even if you don't get the win, knowing that on merit you're able to get first place, that first place feeling, it's still good, even if you don't end up getting the actual points for it. But now, is that mistake from Butch going to cost him the win on track? And again, Bumblebee starting to catch up to these two as they battle even more.
And absolutely, I'm just looking at the stream quickly because I think we are getting it looked like it improved. I just had a little noticing the connection wasn't very quick. I'm not on the hardwired right now. And F1 Richie gets ahead. F1 Richie gets ahead after a mistake from Butch in the same corner. Now they're going to be side by side into the penultimate turn 17. And F1 Richie giving him room, but is very close. You saw those wheels almost interlocking. Now Bumblebee's right behind them, ready to pounce. F1 Richie, P1, CJ Butch, P2, and Bumblebee right behind them, P3, and he's going to get a run on both of them. And who's going to get ahead? It's going to be CJ Butch down the inside. It's going to be Bumblebee down the inside as well. No, Bumblebee not making the most of that run. I don't know where it went wrong. He was so close. And now he's going to have to sit and look as CJ Butch retakes the lead from F1 Richie.
Yeah, it almost looked like he knew he wasn't going to be able to cleanly do it. Podgetter out of the race.
And now there's a McLaren that's out. It's too late for a safety car. We're not going to get a safety car. We're not going to get a VSC. It's much too late for that. And it's going to be like this until the end of the race. Our first retirement, which you do have to give props to these drivers. They stayed in it. Now they're all going to earn points. At least all of the ones who have still yet to retire. Nobody else is retired so far, but F1 Richie, CJ Busch, Bumblebee, the battle for the lead are within a second of each other right now. CJ Busch, the only one of these guys who does not have any penalties, and both of the other two have 3 seconds. Oh, F1 Richie goes for the move, and he goes deep, barely misses the wall there, and now he stays ahead. CJ Busch does tap his rear wheel a little bit. He's got to be careful here, CJ Busch. He's had some moments here the last 2 corners. He keeps it clean this time around. He goes, yeah, much slower around, but Bumblebee is going to be now having another go. Is Craigo, we saw right behind, fighting with ISRL Chris, and there's 2 battles here. ISRL Chris and Craigo both 9 seconds, so whatever they get is going to stick. The student must be close to disqualification. He has 26 seconds of penalties in his... Sorry, Billy, but what are you doing out there? And Bumblebee... Oh, no, he's not. Bumblebee, he's low fuel, is he? And on the last lap of the race, I think, he's not able to crank the engine up to 11. He's not able to put it into rich mix and get that traction he needs down the straight, that acceleration, that top speed. And CJ Busch is going to stay ahead. And CJ Busch here, if he just holds position, he can get the win. F1 Richie has to get some distance, and I think it's all going to come down to whether or not CJ Busch keeps it clean through that turn 15, 16 chicane. And
he cut it really close on that one. Can't afford to cut the corners here.
Yeah, and he just has to keep it clean. F1 Richie's about to get a second ahead. Bumblebee might get ahead of him, and if Bumblebee gets ahead of CJ and slows him down a little bit, I don't think it's going to make a difference at this point. It's too late, but it could still change yet. It's not over until they all cross the line.
Got 2 more chicanes that CJ Busch has struggled with, though. He's got to get through cleanly here.
And is he going to be able to do it here? Just a couple of corners to go, and
nice and easy.
I think he does. And coming through turn 17, it was very close the whole race, but it is going to be CJ Busch on penalties unless he cuts or gets something here on the final corner. He's going to keep it clean. No chances taken. CJ Busch wins the preseason Russian Grand Prix. Very well done from the Williams driver. F1 Richie coming home in P2. Bumblebee gets his first podium in his first race in Division 3. P3, Sprunky with an amazing comeback to get up to P4 after that mistake late in the race. ISRL Chris, P5 there. What could have been for the racing points had they not battled so much for this race, but I can't complain too much. They gave us a very entertaining Grand Prix. Craigo, after that great qualifying performance, comes home P6. Maverick, who did a very good job with the tire management, gets a P7 in his first full-time Grand Prix. ISRL Stunik gets past the line and immediately gets hit by Extreme Pascal, but they're across the line. It's alright. Comes home P8 despite the penalties. Fallen Monkeys P9, Extreme Pascal P10, Azen P11, and Chilmo P12. Monkey Mafia has not crossed the line yet. He's gonna do so here. And come home P13, and then Hartman and Cozy both earning points despite the being a little bit further down the order because of that retirement to Nick Potgieter in the McLaren. Woo. Oh, and a big spin from Hartman as he crosses the line.
All right. What? I mean, if this is a sign of things to come, Codemasters driver of the day is the Maverick preseason race Division 3 here, ISRL Season 4, and there's CJ Busch. Sure, we'll let him do whatever that was.
Great little dance there. We were just seeing it here.
He won the race. He can do whatever he wants.
And yeah, some a good victory there from the Williams driver. And that's it for the preseason race here. We're back in 45 minutes. This was a short one. Back in 45 minutes for Division 2 here in Russia. and excited to share it with all of you as we are it's a kickstart week. It's the start of Season 4, the preseason races, everyone getting to know each other, and Tier 1, of course, after the Tier 2 race at the usual time, same as last season. And then we kick the season off officially in Austria next weekend. So your orders: CJ Bush, F1 Richie, Bumblebee, Sprunky, ISRL Chris, Craigo Maverick, Estunic, Fallen Monkeys, Extreme Pascal, Azen, Chilmo, Monkey Mafia, Cozy, Hartman, and Nick Potjeder 2003. So, guys, thank you for tuning in. Like I said, we're gonna be back in 45 minutes. I'm ISRL Knight, ISRL Carter in the booth with me. Would like to thank you all for dropping a comment, watching the race. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, whatever you do on whatever social media we are on. Choose your favorite. You don't have to follow us everywhere, but we would like it if you do. And don't forget to subscribe. Don't miss a single race here at ISRL Esports. Season 4 launches very soon, and we're going to be back. Carter, any parting words?
Get ready, folks, because Season 4 is going to be a good one. If this is the template of what of what's to come, you don't want to miss a race, and we really appreciate everyone tuning in.
Very excited for what's to come. Thank you all for tuning in, and we'll see you very shortly for the Division 2 Russian Grand Prix, the preseason again for all tiers. See you soon. Thank you.